The most common question I get from low elo players is this champ pool okay for climbing, or what champion should I play to climb, etc. I would say the same thing. You can climb with whoever you enjoy playing. Metas constantly change and it's very important you have fun. But with that being said, I do have a champion recommendation that I really think is one of the best for solo queue in any elo. And that champion is Diana mid. The first time I hit high elo back in like season 5, I was a Diana 1 trick. This was pre-reworked Diana, but her laning concepts and strategy actually haven't really changed much. Diana does it all. She can carry team fights, she split pushes better than pretty much any other AP melee champion since she shreds towers, and her laning is solid with very little hard counter picks. So today I'm going to break down a simple strategy you can use to start playing and carrying with Diana mid right away, along with a trick that I will go over later in the video, which gives her more mobility than normal and almost nobody knows about it. Also, you know what other trick will help you climb fast? Using our platform at SkillCamp.com. We have over 280 high quality courses taught by challenger experts, covering every role and skill you need to learn in order to rank up. That's not all though, as we release 10 Smurf commentaries every week on our site, where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. And if you want something more personal, then we got you covered with coaching from our trained challenger experts. If all this wasn't enough, we're also backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCamp, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing we need to go over is laning phase, as it's the most important part of the game. And Diana has a few key concepts that you need to know that should make most of her laning phases pretty easy. In this game, I'm on Diana vs Victor and Diamond. Victor is a champion that can actually bully melees in the first few levels, as his Q is a strong early poking tool. But with this strategy, the laning is easy. You're going to want to bring Flash TP and Phase Rush as your rune page. These aren't 100% necessary. You can go Ignite or Conquer or Electrocute, but I love this setup. TP gets a ton of value in laning phase and especially in the mid game when splitting, and Phase Rush is useful for a lot of different things, and you'll see examples of that soon. Anyways, the first concept and the most important one I do right away as laning starts. As the first 3 melees get low, I walk up and make sure to angle my Q so it gets those 3 minions, hits almost the entire wave, and hits Victor. This is doing multiple things. First, using Q to get the CS lets me avoid taking a lot of harass. Second, if I'm constantly hitting Victor with Qs, it can make a huge difference in almost any play. Think about it. Let's say a 2v2 breaks out. If Victor has 60% health instead of 100%, the fight can be completely different. Or if my jungler ganks, it's much easier to kill a 70 or 60% HP Victor over a 100% HP Victor. And the third thing this is doing is damaging all the minions, and you'll see why that's important in a second. Alright, after doing that, my Q is down and there's no CS to get, so I'm sitting back avoiding any unnecessary harass. But as the ranged minions get low, I try to hit Victor with Q and grab the CS again, but I messed up the angle slightly. Not that big of a deal though. I'm forced to actually walk up in CS now, but I can feel a little more comfortable since I have more minions with me, so Victor can't harass me too much. But because I'm damaging the wave with my Q and passive autos, I was actually able to hit level 2 first. This will happen a lot if you're using your Q properly, hitting both the champion and the wave. Now, with my level advantage, I grab W, try to hit Victor with Q, and make sure to hit the wave again. Then walk up to the wave and use W to damage it and shield Victor's poke. With that and my passive autos, I clear the entire wave. When he has no minions, notice he can't harass me or my minions will win the trade for me basically. That's the general concept of the strategy, and this has always been Diana's laning strategy. She shields your damage, pokes you, and pushes all at the same time. And in low elo, nobody knows how to dodge Diana Q. In high elo, it's very rare for the enemy mid to let you hit them and the wave. Anyways, after clearing the wave, I throw another Q at Victor to poke him, then go ward since junglers can gank me before I'm level 3 in this preseason patch. Notice, I pop my potion here as well. Since I'm going to be hard pushing and basically brute forcing my way into crashing waves, I want to make sure I'm staying as healthy as possible so Victor can't get anywhere near killing me. As I get back into lane, I try to hit Victor and the wave, but he positioned in a way to just barely not get hit. Then notice I didn't just walk up and use W. I used W when I figured he would laser me. But the point is, you don't want to just use W for the damage on the wave. You want to make sure you're actually shielding something. You have to make the shield count. With the shield on, I constantly auto and hit level 3 first. Now I want to crash this wave, so I look to do the same thing with my Q. Throw it through the cannon to grab it and try to hit Victor and the minions. Since I know I have a cannon wave to back me up and my W is coming off cooldown, I just walk up to the Victor here and use W and autos to trade with him, then phase rush out. If I didn't miss Q here like a scrub, this trade would have been perfect. But I had to back off because we knew the enemy Lee Sin was ganking from bot side. The next important concept here, which gave my win rate a huge boost back in the day, is backing away like this to put yourself out of vision of the enemy team after pushing a wave. This just dissuades the enemy jungler from ganking you, since Diana can sometimes be easy to gank. If the enemy jungler doesn't see you, they don't want to waste their time in mid lane, so they won't come most of the time. So I pop my potion and sit back out of vision, and as expected, Lee Sin comes out and goes to his red side. Sadly, I didn't know the enemy support was also here, classic mid lane life, so as I walk back up, I get flashed on by Alistar. It was really unlucky because my phase rush was literally 1 second away from being up. If it was up, I would live easily. Either way, I trade 1 for 1 with Lee Sin, which is great of course in a 1v3 scenario. Now, remember how I said landing Q on the enemy laner is really important? Well, because I got Victor to half health, my jungler kills him here, so he actually got 2 kills and they only got 1. If I just used Q on the wave only and never tried to hit Victor, we wouldn't even be able to kill him. But remember, it's not just one or the other. The key is hitting the enemy champion and the wave. Alright, when I get back to lane, we have another key concept to go over with this strategy. The wave is slow pushing to me, and this is going to be something you will run into occasionally. When the wave is slow pushing to you, you want to be using Q to hit the whole wave just like before, but for the purpose of clearing the wave, not pushing it and crashing it. After actually clearing the enemy's slow push big wave, then you would go back to hard pushing like before. That's why I'm sitting further back and using Q on the entire wave here to start damaging it and thinning it out. After a few Qs, the wave would basically be gone. I use another Q here, hitting the wave and Victor again, and this time, for the amount of damage I've done to the wave, he doesn't have a massive wave anymore. And he's walking up acting like he's not scared. In my mind, he's either trolling or his jungler is here. But this is where phase rush is clutch. Even if his jungler is here, I could just phase rush out. So I jump in, and his jungler doesn't end up being there right away, but shows up a few seconds later after I just won the trade hard. Sadly, I'm forced to jump past Lee with my E to live, and I take a good amount of damage in the process, but either way, I wasted his time and still won the mid trade really hard. My jungler is actually getting big leads from the Lee Sin failing his ganks in mid lane, and we end up killing him just a few seconds later at his wolves. Alright, so in a nutshell, this is how your lanes are going to go, even versus melees. Use Diana's pushing power to outpush them, poke them at the same time with Q, and shield their harass. Now we need to talk about the mid game, but before that, let's talk about the mobility trick. I don't believe this is an intended mechanic, but it's really OP if used properly. Normally, if you use Q and hit multiple targets, and then use E on someone with the Moonlight, your E gets reset and the other targets lose their Moonlight debuff. This prevents Diana from jumping multiple times and her E resetting every time. But if you throw Q and jump to a target with Moonlight before the Q hits other targets, they won't lose their Moonlight debuff because when you dashed, they didn't have it yet. Sounds complicated, but let me show you what I mean. This trick is useful for laning and in fights. In this clip, I'm laning versus Veigar. Watch closely. I'm going to throw my Q at him, and right away I dash to the backline minions I know my Q will hit. This resets my E and leaves the Moonlight debuff on Veigar. So then I dash to Veigar and my E is reset again. So I ult him and then can use a third E to follow his flash and finish him. This triple E trick can lead to crazy plays and mobility that Diana normally doesn't have. In this one, I'm looking to dive the enemy bot lane. First, I land Q on Kate, then jump in with W and E to proc phase rush and run out of tower range. Then I walk up and throw my Q in a way that it will hit Kate first and then Lulu. Before my Q hits Lulu, I'm already dashing to Kate. So I dash to her, kill her, and then dash to Lulu and still have my E up to use another Q into E into E. So I used my E 5 times here, which is actually insane. So that's the triple E trick. Now we can talk about how to play after laning phase. First off, the build I've been running on Diana for this strategy is the classic Rod of Ages into Nashers and Hourglass as your core items, then Deathcap and Void Staff. This is how Diana used to play before the item rework, but with Rod of Ages back, we can do it again. Going Rod of Ages and Nashers makes Diana a great duelist and team fighter. She's beefy with her shield and the bonus HP, and she shreds towers. So your job is to win lane, then go side lane and push. Then from there, you'll either try to kill the person that matches you, or take the tower, or just use the tempo advantage from pushing the wave to rotate to a fight. Or use TP to make a play across the map while the person that matched you is stuck farming the waves you pushed. For example, in this game where I'm versus the Victor, I have Rod of Ages done and laning is over, so I'm in bot lane. I don't have TP, but since I'm Diana vs Victor, Victor will never be able to push the side wave before me. That's the nature of melee vs range matchups. It's way too dangerous for him to push far. So my job is to make sure he can't play the game. I'll show you what I mean. I push bot to make sure he has to stay here and farm the wave. Then he needs to push 2 waves out so he doesn't lose CS as the waves push back towards us. This is also called a tempo advantage. Then with this tempo advantage, I recall and head straight to where my team is in top lane, but I grab blue first and then decide to take mid tier 1 tower while my team pushes top. Mid tier 1 is the most important tower in the game. From here, I have to decide if I want to go to the top fight or keep pushing mid. If I had Nashers completed, I would just take this tower too. But by the time Victor was done pushing the bot waves, all of this was over, so he didn't even contribute to the fight. Then just a minute later, I'm top lane now instead, pushing just like before. And as you can see, Victor is once again forced to hold my pressure, and he can't be grouped like he wants to be as Victor. and I get top tier 2 in the process, which is worth 600 gold. So by just pushing sideways, I'm getting a lot of golden experience and making sure Victor can't group like he wants to. Basically, I'm doing a ton for my team without even fighting anyone. Like I said earlier though, Diana is strong at team fights, but this Rod of Ages Nashor's Phase Rush TP strat lets her go back to her classic strategy of being a beefy bruiser assassin that shreds towers and can still pop off in team fights if she lands a big ult with multiple people in it. Alright, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCamp. So we offer a 5 division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 2,000 guides curated into over 270 courses. No one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into Elo Hell over 1,100 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted. The link's in the description below. Alright guys, so that's the strategy behind my #1 recommended mid lane champ to climb with. She's simple, strong, and fun. But that's going to bring us to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.